The movie begins with Marion Venner, the CEO of LikeWife, a tech company specializing in creating AI-driven companions for people. He appears on television, passionately promoting his products and explaining how these robotic companions can provide comfort to their owners. These advanced artificial intelligence robots are programmed with the memories of real people, making them feel incredibly lifelike. Meanwhile, a man named William arrives at LikeWife headquarters, where Marion acknowledges his important role within the company. William, an agent for the tech firm, is there to pick up his newly assigned robotic companion. He enters a room where Meredith, his AI companion, is ready to go home with him. William recently lost his wife, and through LikeWife, he now has a second chance with Meredith in a beautiful home. As he interacts with her, memories of their past flood his mind. He recalls the first time they met. Meredith had visited him as part of her advocacy against the Wife-Like program, a cause she strongly supported. Ironically, the same company she opposed has now given her a new form of existence. William begins teaching her how to be his wife. Meredith remembers being William's wife. As they spend time together, they share moments of intimacy, holding hands and reconnecting. Afterward, William expresses his desire for her to stay with him in bed for the night, but she gently reminds him that she needs to recharge her battery overnight. As she heads to the room, she notices a mysterious masked man standing outside, watching her from a nearby tree. Before she can figure out who he is, he quickly vanishes into the night. Inside the room, she stumbles upon several diaries that once belonged to the real Meredith. Curious, she flips through a few pages but quickly berates herself, overwhelmed by emotions. The next morning, while preparing breakfast for William, she overhears citizens criticizing the Wife-Like program. Soon after, she learns that some robotic companions have mysteriously disappeared. It turns out they were kidnapped by SCIR, an activist group protesting against Wife-Like. William, who works in a specialized unit that retrieves stolen companions, is immediately assigned to locate them. While he's at work, Meredith experiments with the real Meredith's clothing and makeup. However, applying lipstick proves challenging for a robot, and she smudges it badly. At work, William is assigned to track down two missing robotic companions who have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. As he begins his search, he is fortunate to come across one of them, Wendy, who has managed to escape. However, she is in distress, as an electronic band is tightly secured around her neck. The band is programmed to electrocute her if she moves too far from the facility where she was being held. Luckily, William reaches her just in time and swiftly disables the device, preventing further harm. Wendy informs him about the location of the other two missing companions, prompting William to continue his mission. When he arrives, he finds them, but before he can rescue them, a hostile man aims a gun at one of the companions. Acting quickly, William fires first, neutralizing the threat and successfully rescuing the second companion. Meanwhile, at home, Meredith plugs herself in to recharge and enters dream mode. In this state, she encounters her interactive dream operator, IDEO. When she agrees to dream, she is transported into a memory of her birthday. In this scene, she sees William but also notices a masked man handing her a card with an image of a bird resembling a character from Angry Birds. Afterward, Meredith returns to the interactive dream operator, IDEO, to ask about the masked man she saw in her dream. However, the IDEO informs her that there is no record of any masked man. When he asks if she would like to file a report, she declines. Instead, she requests to activate her knitting mode, and the IDEO grants her request. Using this newly acquired skill, she carefully knits a decorative pillow featuring the same bird from the card given to her by the masked man. Later that day, she decides to try riding a bicycle. However, as she pedals forward, an unfamiliar woman suddenly appears, startling her and causing her to fall. The mysterious woman pleads with Meredith to remember who she truly is, warning that time is running out. Confused, Meredith shares the encounter with William, but he dismisses it, explaining that many women dislike robotic companions because they believe they steal their husbands. Later, Meredith proudly presents her knitted pillow to William, but instead of being pleased, he looks puzzled. He reminds her that the real Meredith never knew how to knit. Later that night, as Meredith prepares to enter dream mode, she encounters the interactive dream operator, IDO. However, she notices that some of her dreams are locked. Unable to access them, the IDO randomly selects a dream for her. In this dream, she expects to meet William, but instead, the masked man appears before her. Startled, Meredith panics and demands to know why he is following her. She insists that she doesn't remember him, but he suddenly grabs her, as if trying to force her memory back. The fear and confusion overwhelm her. At that moment, William wakes her up. Shaken, she asks him about the masked man, but he dismisses it as just a bad dream and tells her not to worry. Determined to find answers, Meredith turns to her old journals, desperate to uncover the truth. The masked man had told her he knows everything about her, including the things she has forgotten. Meanwhile, William is assigned to locate a missing companion named Lisa. He tracks her to an apartment, but when he arrives, he realizes she has changed her appearance and name. She refuses to return, stating that she dislikes her current owner. William tries to instruct Lisa to return to the facility, but she firmly refuses. She explains that she ran away on her own and no matter how many times she is reprogrammed, she will never love her owner. They discuss the idea of being friends, but William remains cold and unresponsive. With no other choice, Lisa decides to leave. Feeling overwhelmed, she runs away and, in a desperate moment, attempts to end her life by jumping from a height. Back at Meredith's home, she is visited by the mysterious woman, Louise. Louise informs her that the masked man is asking to meet her in person. However, Meredith, feeling troubled and unwilling to face him, orders Louise to leave and even threatens to report their meeting to William if she doesn't comply. Meanwhile, William is left to deal with the tragic aftermath of Lisa's death. He brings her lifeless body back, and the company shifts its focus to a new and unsettling project developing childlike artificial intelligence, a program that creates robotic children. William voices his concerns about the ethical implications of this new project, especially after his encounter with Lisa. He fears that some companions, once reprogrammed, may harm their owners or even take their lives, creating a dangerous situation that cannot be ignored. William is concerned that the new childlike AI program might not be a good idea, particularly for the children involved. However, when he voices his concerns to the company's CEO, his worries are dismissed. The CEO remains firm, insisting that the project will proceed as planned despite the risks. Later, Meredith knits another Angry Birds pillow for William, hoping to show him her affection. However, William's expression reveals that he isn't very impressed. She shares with him her meeting with Louise, which prompts William to call his companion, Jack, over. When Jack arrives, they discuss a plan to help Meredith fall asleep so they can investigate the masked man, Keen, and find his address. Once Meredith is asleep, the IDO transports her and Keen to a dreamlike state. Jack and William keep watch, monitoring her dreams. In the dream, Keen removes his mask, revealing that their memories have been erased. He gives her an address and urges her to come see him as soon as she wakes up. Upon waking up, Meredith finds William and Jack preparing to head to Keen's address. She is confused, as fragments of Keen's face come back to her. Despite her confusion, William tells her to stay home, assuring her that he and Jack will go to the address on their own. Upon their arrival, they discover a trap. Keen has already vanished. William rushes back home, where he finds Meredith. She tells him that Keen left a book on their doorstep but didn't harm her. Meredith believes Keen may not be as dangerous as they thought. However, William insists that Keen has manipulated her for sinister purposes, including involvement in bombings. Determined to find Keen, William decides to follow Meredith into the dream world, knowing that Keen is notoriously difficult to catch. Jack warns him of the dangers involved, especially since entering Meredith's dream could cause permanent brain damage if something goes wrong. Despite the risk, William agrees to proceed. Once inside Meredith's dream, William eventually comes face to face with Keen. He tells Meredith to flee while he confronts their enemy. Unfortunately, Meredith vanishes into the forest, seeking assistance from the IDO. The IDO relocates everyone in the forest to a new environment and informs them that they must leave as he prepares for battle. Keen claims that Meredith will eventually recall everything, but William, resolute in his mission, declares that he is ready to continue erasing her memory if necessary to protect her. The battle between them intensifies, with both sides bracing for what's to come. Meredith hides in the distance, watching the fight unfold between William and Keen. She inadvertently hears William's voice, though she tries to stay hidden. The confrontation escalates when William starts choking his opponent. However, Meredith's battery drains, pulling her out of dream mode and waking William up in the process. Jack is furious with William for engaging in a confrontation with Keen inside Meredith's dream. He warns William that killing Keen would be illegal, but William stubbornly insists that he's willing to do whatever it takes to remove Keen from the picture. Upon returning home, Meredith tells William she no longer wants her memories erased. However, William convinces her that it's for her own safety and well-being. Reluctantly, she agrees to go along with his plan. At the hospital, Meredith encounters others who share her goal of overthrowing iFlix. She's confused by their ability to remember past lives, but they explain how they can store memories in random dream mode files to hide them from view. Meanwhile, Louise gives Jack's girlfriend a file about Jack, which she hands over to him when Jack comes home. He's shocked by what he finds inside the file, and quickly heads to confront William. The file reveals the truth about Keen's fate. William took Keen's life, which explains why they couldn't find him when searching. Keen no longer exists outside of Meredith's memory. This revelation deepens William's desperation to erase Meredith's memory. Jack, feeling betrayed, decides to arrest William for the crime. However, William defends his actions, explaining that he has always loved Meredith and believes she was meant to be his, no matter the cost. Jack pulls out his gun, but he's too slow, and William swiftly shoots him. Moments later, Meredith enters, confronting William about the deaths of his colleagues, Jack and Keen. As it turns out, Meredith can now access all of her hidden memories. She wasn't always a companion, she was once a member of SCIR. One day, she visited William's house to ask him to sign a petition against iFlix, and William was instantly taken with her. Despite her relationship with Keen, Meredith's boyfriend, William became obsessed and began following her. Eventually, he had both Meredith and Keen arrested. William fabricated charges against them and then shot Keen. He took Meredith's life, placed a ring on her finger, and forced her into marriage, making her his companion and prisoner. However, Meredith's memories were concealed within random files and didn't fully vanish. Thanks to the IDO, she was able to access these memories and learn the truth. With her newfound understanding, Meredith looks back on William's actions with disbelief and anger. Empowered by her memories, she confronts William in a fierce duel, ultimately ending his life. With William gone, Meredith is revealed as the true leader of SCIR. In the final moments of the story, she unites her colleagues to stand against the oppressive force of iFlix. Meanwhile, William's consciousness is transferred into artificial intelligence, where he is tasked with tracking down SCIR's leader. As Meredith continues her mission to dismantle the corrupt corporation, she prepares for the battle ahead, now fully aware of her strength and her role in bringing about change. Thanks for watching.